Hello everyone, Dave Landry from DaveLandry.com, and this is Trading Simplified. So, what are we going to talk about? Well, I want to continue to follow up on the methodology and action, my core methodology that is, and I have a couple of mystery charts I want to follow up on. I have a new mystery chart, and then I also have a mystery chart that I will reveal, which has actually already been revealed, that I think still has potential. So I want to talk about where the money is also in stocks. That'll make sense in a few minutes. I also want to talk about where the money is right now in crypto. And it's not about the crypto. It's about going where the money is with a healthy dose of money management. It's being in the right place at the right time, like I talked about last week, whether it's the dot-com bubble, easy for me to say, in 1999, the IPOs on and off over the last 30 years, and stocks in general, depending on conditions. And right now, it is crypto, and I firmly believe that. And we'll get into all that. Buyer beware, though, and I'll get into that too. Housekeeping, I do take requests. It does make my job a lot easier. If there's something you want me to cover, let me know. I would also suggest that you go in and watch older shows, both here and on my YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/C/Dave Landry. And you'll have a lot of those questions answered. If you want to go through actual courses where I teach all this stuff in a more formal format, where you can go in and take a quiz to make sure you get it, and then move on to the next segment, go to davelandry.com/members to sign up, and I can give you some more information on that if you're interested. If you want the slides from this show and all the other shows combined, which will have some of the systems that you guys are looking for, such as the 230 EMA breakout system, the TFM 10% system for the stock market, TKOs, which I was asked about just earlier today, et cetera, et cetera. Go to davelandry.com/StockCharts, put your info in, and I'll send you every single slide presentation that I've done for this show, including this one, and a free market timing course, and a bunch of other stuff to keep you busy for a while, including all three of my books in PDF format for absolutely free. Get to know me first, and then jump into some of those courses, and then interact with us in our Facebook group. If you need to reach me, davelandry.com/contact. And also, I do a weekly webinar. You can come and ask live questions each week. Go to davelandry.com/webinar. If the date is old, which it usually is because I never remember to update it, put your information in, and you'll get access to the latest show. So let's talk about the mystery charts and the methodology in action. People say, hey, Dave, where do these mystery charts come from? Well, they come directly from my trading services. This is a snapshot from a couple days ago. And one thing I did want to show you in this spreadsheet, notice these big winners that are in yellow after the white. The white is where we take a swing trade off because we don't know whether or not the stock's going to continue to move in our favor. And then the remainder of the position, half, we keep on just in case it turns into a longer-term winner. And that's the basic money management. We're looking for a swing trade, and then hopefully it turns into a longer-term trade. And the beautiful thing that has me very excited is I'm using the same exact money management in crypto. And knock on wood, come in. Knock on wood, it's been working really well. That's kind of goofy, huh? So where the money is, as far as in stocks, is riding out that second loaf of a trade. A few weeks back, I talked about investor versus trader. I was getting asked a lot about that. Hey, Dave, all this trading stuff is great, but how do I use it as an investor? Well, I think you should invest like a trader. Go in, get a piece, and stick around just in case things work out. Look at the date on some of these. As I said in prior presentations, July of 2020. So we've been in this one for a year and a half. We've been in ASO for almost a year. We've been in ARLP for all of, or nearly all of, the calendar year. So you kind of see how that works. All right, this was a former mystery chart. I want to follow up on it. It was CFLT. It's given us a plethora of examples. And as far as where the mystery charts come from, straight from my trading service down here, CFLT, buy 200 shares, that's per 100K. And we're risking 2% on the trade. And here was the entry, the stop, and the initial profit target. If you want to see all of these, warts and all, www.davelandry.com/archives. And you can watch all the videos. People are like, well, can I get a free trial of this trading service? Like, well, you got 20 years or whatever, however many I have posted out there of videos to watch. If you can't get a feel after looking at a couple of dozen of these videos, then maybe you shouldn't be trading. No, I'm half kidding. Anyway, CFLT, so nice uptrend here, followed by a pullback. Entry was here, stop was down here, as you just saw. Initial profit target was up here. What did it do? Not much for a while. In fact, it was a very good lesson in just following the plan. Do they always work out? No. Am I interviewing myself? Yes. But you can see it had a nice move. We hit that IPT. The stop comes up to break even when you hit that initial profit target. Half of those shares are exited, so we're free rolling. The worst we could do is break even. And now the worst we could do is a little bit better than break even. Remember, we got in around 65, so 78 or so is what stop is now. So that'll be another 13 points if stopped out. But let's hope, a word you should never really use in this business, but let's hope we're with this stock for a long, long time. As I said last week, this was a good example, and I had quite a few of these lately, of clients getting a little frustrated because they're not working out. But you got to remember, especially people who are newer to trading and just hate to take a leap of faith, buy something and watch it turn into a loser right away, and then chop back and forth. The bottom line is, and I don't know, easier said than done, but as long as it's above the stop, it's not a problem. And if it does stop out, it's no longer a problem. Yeah, you might drop an F-bomb, but if you're trading at a size that's not going to affect your lifestyle, something that will drive the point home really hard when we get to the crypto, then it shouldn't really matter. You should be able to scream next. Drop an F-bomb if you have to, and believe me, I do. So sit back, relax, and just follow the plan. Hopefully, and there's that word again, hopefully I'll have plenty more of these to show you in the future. This was a mystery chart actually revealed last week. It's another one of those ones that's been a little frustrating, hasn't worked out just yet, but I'm still encouraged. That's CNTX. Nice little deep retracement. Entry was here, stop down here, initial profit target up here. You can see it triggered, and it really hasn't done much, but I still think this one has potential as a possible new trade. Just make sure you wait for an entry. You might want to enter way up here around 650 or so. Give it a little wiggle room just in case, as I preach. This is what I talked about last week. It has not triggered yet. It was a buy, as you can see down here. Again, straight from a trading service. Double top knockout. Now, I was asked about knockouts this morning. This knockout could be a little bit bigger, but if you combine this bar with that bar, kind of use your mind's eye or use a 2-day chart, the knockout was okay, or combine it with these couple of bars in here. So you get one big knockout bar instead of several days. It's still a TKO. But yeah, if you're looking for a TKO, or to understand a TKO, would be like a big wide range bar down. And again, we've done shows where we talked about that. Little bit of a pullback now, more of a pullback play than a TKO play. And so far it hasn't triggered. Entry is up here, stop is down here. Initial profit target is up here. So we'll see how that one shakes out, and I'll follow up on it in future shows. All right, let's talk about where the money is. Now, when I talked about inefficiencies in markets a few weeks back, I said stop the video, go get you a cup of coffee. Not the most exciting topic in the world, but guess what? If you can learn to understand inefficiencies in markets, you'll be able to really print money, because that's where the money is. Go back to that mystery chart I just talked about. That's no longer a mystery chart. That CFLT, that's been a fantastic move, and that's a huge inefficient move that was not priced in to the market. So what's inefficient now? Well, IPOs are still inefficient. That CFLT was an IPO. Those mystery charts were IPOs. And I have a half a dozen more that I was going to show you this week. But there's so much I want to tell you about crypto this week. So just simply not enough time. And I'll get into some of those in my stock chart show. In my weekly webinar due Dave Landry's The Week in Charts on Thursday. DaveLandry.com/webinar to register. So right now, crypto, especially these altcoins, are very inefficient, and they're making some really, really great moves. And some of these coins that aren't considered altcoins are actually making pretty good moves now, such as Ethereum. Now, one reason I enjoy my educational business, and truth be told, I make a little money in it, and that's kind of nice. And it's kind of nice to get paid to do what you love doing. I would be doing this anyway. Somebody asked me, Dave, when are you gonna retire? It's like, I don't know if I ever retire. I think I'll keep doing what I'm doing now, and it's pretty nice to have the educational business. But in addition to the money, and I've written a complete article on this, and believe me, I'm not getting rich in this educational business. If you're out there selling BS, yeah, you might be making some money like those scumbags that are being sued for $137 million they bilked out of clients. And turns out they were horrible traders. I'm the best trader in the world. But yeah, turns out he wasn't. But I digress. And I would never be Schadenfreude, but believe me, if you're out there bilking somebody, that I think you deserve what you get. Anyway, getting back to the educational business, one thing that's great about it is as I'm doing these slides yesterday, put them together, literally I'm like, you know what? Let me go out and see if there's some crypto that might be worth trading. And lo and behold, I found a setup and immediately placed the order. And I did the same thing last week. And here it is right here. This is on the ACP platform, LRC. And I simply bought this because it's going up. And here's a trade here. And I just put $1,000 into the entire position, okay? Not betting the form. And you can see that I flipped it out later that day, fairly quickly, actually. Wow, it was only 3 minutes? I didn't realize that. Look at that. That's crazy. I feel like Tiny Elvis. Look at that trade. It's huge. So I got in here. Why? Well, it was going up, okay? And I was able to flip it out a few minutes later. Now, I put it in a limit order, and obviously they don't always work this great. But I did get hit on that limit order shortly thereafter. My stop goes to break even on the remainder. Now, I was only looking for 20%, and I got that 20% pretty fast, as you can see. So that's $100 put in my pocket, plus I take off the other $500 of that trade, right? So $100 profit. And then if you mark to market on the remainder of that, that's a 57-cent gain. And on 270 shares remaining, that comes to $154. And now I'm free rolling, so to speak. So worst could happen, I get stopped out at a scratch. And let me see where it is. Based on where it is now, I should get stopped out at a little bit more than a scratch. And hopefully I'm in it for a long, long time. Now, not to go all fuzzy math on you, my wife's always like, what's that thing you do? It's like annualizing. Let's say you could have a trade like this. Let's say we stop out at worst case scenario, like make a one-day profit of $254. Crypto's open 365 days a year. So if you could make $254, and I know it's only $1,000 put in, right? Well, you would make an extra $97,000 per year. And I say extra because I'm still trading the IPOs, and hopefully you're still trading the core methodology and trend following in stocks. And by the way, the reason I bring that up is I've actually lost money on one of the courses that I put out. Not the entire course, but I lost a client or two because IPOs were really hot when I put the course out, and they stopped trading the core methodology, and they unsubscribed to my trading service. And I tried to explain to them that, look, these things won't always be hot. They just so happen to be hot now. I would not focus exclusively on IPOs. I would make sure you're a little bit more well-rounded, look at stocks, or I should say look at other stocks with the core methodology. But anyway, it's the first time ever I was kind of a victim of my own success, so to speak. I know it sounds like I'm bragging, but I sure would like to have that client back, right? But anyway, right now I think crypto could be one of those areas. And by the way, I'm not selling you on crypto. I'm just telling you that I'm excited about it right now. And right now, I think it's where the money is, or part of where the money is, in addition to IPOs, and of course the core methodology, as you saw a little while ago, knock on wood, it's still doing pretty good at this point in time. Now, years ago, I had, I guess, an acquaintance, someone I knew, and he asked me what I did. And back then, I was a commodity trading advisor. This was probably 30 years ago. And he told me a story. I told the story, and I do a little video on Saturday mornings. Not every Saturday, because my wife might kill me if I spend too much time in here, which I have been lately trading crypto, but that's another story altogether. But I do a little video called coffee and crypto, and sometimes I call it something else, the S-coins. But anyway, it reminded me of a story of someone I met many, many years ago, and he found out I was a commodity trading advisor. And he goes, well, let me tell you my commodity story. And he got cold called one day, and he gave $5,000 to a broker who was bullish on sugar. Sugar went straight up, and he ended up making like $200,000 off of the deal. He shut down his account, got his $200,000, and I think there might have been a little bit more to the story about the $200,000 didn't come on a W-2 or whatever they report these things on. It's been so long, I forget. Anyway, long story endless, he told all his friends, and all his friends ended up getting fleeced, and he said that he felt like he was a Judas goat. Well, I didn't know what a Judas goat was, and he said, well, that's a goat with a little ribbon around and all the ribbon around his neck. And all the other goats followed it to the slaughterhouse, and the Judas goat comes out the other end, gets him a carrot or whatever, little treat, and all the other goats get slaughtered. So he felt like he led all his friends to slaughter. So don't let me be the Judas goat in this stuff. Buyer beware. Be darn careful. And as I'm going to say here in 1 minute, I hope you realize that I do realize a lot of this is BS and made up, but who cares? Okay. LPT, it's another one of those things that while I was doing my research for these slides, I actually found this one, was able to get in right here. Why? Well, it was going up. Now, once these things settle down a bit, and sometimes they do wax and wane, but if they settle down a little bit, then focus more on pullbacks, Landry-like pullbacks, keep an eye out for TKOs, and all that core methodology stuff. And again, I'm not selling you on crypto, but I think one reason I'm so excited is what I do in other markets works incredibly well here because these markets are inefficient markets. So the pullbacks and things like that, the TKOs, and even something, a little system that I wrote 30 years ago called the 220 EMA system, which I now use with the 30 EMA, and look at prior shows for that. Look at my prior weekend charts for a lot more on that. www.youtube.com/c/Dave Landry to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I can show you a lot more on that. Just right here, for instance, this would be bar 1, bar 2. The entry would have been right here on that system. Now, keep in mind, everything works better with trend. Breakouts, for the most part, tend to fail miserably in stocks, okay? However, with IPOs, because they're inefficient, I actually have some breakout patterns, such as the buy at B. So right now, I'm just sorting all of these crypto pairs by relative strength, not RSI or some sort of indicator, but simply the strength day over day. So the strongest ones will come to the top. The cream will rise to the top. Cream will come to the top. I'm buying those and flipping out half. And right now, because there's just not enough time in a day, I'm just looking for a flat 20% gain. Over time, I think what I would do is like I do in stocks, I would adjust to the volatility. So if you go in and look at the service archives, the CFLT, for instance, I had a 10-point stop because that's what it called for, which gave me a 10-point initial profit target. But if you go in and look at some of the other ones, you'll notice it might be 1 point, it might be 2 points, or somewhere in between. So anyway, this was another one I literally found while working on my slides, flipped it out for a $103 gain. And then I did a little mark to market a little while ago, and I was up 448 on the remainder of the position. So that's been a nice little ride so far. And I'll bump my stop as soon as I'm done recording today and make sure that I get out at a really good profit. One thing I woke up thinking about today, worst case, and then hopefully, and there's that word again, but hopefully I could ride it out for a long, long time. Now, one thing I woke up thinking about today, again, is don't pontificate, participate. I went to StockCharts YouTube channel this morning and saw there's some comments about, I think it's BS and everybody's a bunch of drunk fools. That's okay. That's okay. Go in and use a healthy dose of money management. Use a little technical analysis, and sometimes it could be as simple, again, as just buying the ones that are going up and make a little money. Now, don't bet the farm. Maybe start off with a really, really small account. My account was started with a brewery that I sold. When I lived in the country, we lived on 6 acres. I turned half the garage into a brewery, and it was a 20-gallon system, and it was pretty awesome. And I didn't know what to sell it for. I was in a hurry to sell a house, so I said, okay, $2,000 cash, whatever. And I had a couple of guys that were literally fighting pretty much over the brewery. In hindsight, I probably could have sold it for a lot more. But anyway, that's another story altogether. But that's where my seed money came for crypto. I've added a little bit more to it since, but for the most part, that was the seed money. So you could do this in a very, very, very small way. Now, keep in mind that purely emotional markets, be it the .com stocks, a lot of people poo-poo those, right? Well, as I showed a few weeks ago, NASDAQ went up, 400%? And somebody like Mr. Buffett went down 50%, okay? Maybe that's not in his wheelhouse. Maybe that's something he doesn't do, is buy a technology company, although he does seem to do a lot of things that don't seem to be in his wheelhouse, but that's another story altogether. But he missed out on that complete .com bubble because they didn't make sense, or for whatever other reason. But it could be IPOs, or right now it could be crypto. But purely emotional markets are your best friend. I often joke that one day I'm going to create a system based purely on technicals, and one of the caveats is that the stock has to have poor fundamentals or no fundamentals whatsoever. And I have no idea what CFLT does. I just showed that one. Maybe they have fundamentals, but doubt it. But markets that trade purely on emotions are your best friends. They are inefficient. Little best friend there, and a little upset about that. Thought he was his best friend. So again, don't pontificate, participate. So the point I'm trying to make with all this, or one of the points, is that if you miss this, then what else will you miss? And yeah, it's going to eventually end. And I often say, make sure you have a chair ready for when the music stops. And it might end tomorrow, it might end the day after tomorrow, it might end 10 years from now. But right now, I think we have a golden opportunity. And eventually, for those who think it's all BS, and you're probably right, it will end. But in the meantime, I'm going to make a lot of money. And I do believe there are a lot of greater fools still looming. Now, sometimes I get into a trade, I'm the greater fool. Yesterday, I don't make it look like it always works. Yesterday, I bought the exact top in a couple of pairs. But so what? I stopped out quickly, moved on, and got into some pairs that were moving higher. And let me tell you this, when this thing ends, and believe me, it will, again, okay, I'm off to find the next bubble. And guess what? Plenty of others are going to poo-poo that bubble too. I could all but guarantee that. Keep in mind that as a trader, you're really a risk taker. You get paid to take risk. So experiment with a small amount. I mean, my small amount was sort of found money, so to speak. I mean, I stopped counting at about $5,000. I probably had a lot more than that. And just in case my wife watches, I'm not going to do the mental math in my head. But when I got to about $5,000, I said, okay, I'm not going to add up how much more money I have in this brewery. And I was thinking like, what's probably the going rate for some used equipment? Give me $2,000, come get it tomorrow so I can move out of my house and it's yours. And that's where my, again, seed money came from. So it's kind of found money, so to speak. So experiment with a really, really, really small amount. And the beauty is you could buy fractions of these things if it's a high-priced one. And notice I only bought 20 of that. That one was $80-something. I only bought 20 or whatever it was, $1,000 worth. It wasn't that much. But you could actually buy $100 worth and stop yourself out at, let's say, a $10 loss or a $20 loss, whatever the case may be. Now, keep in mind on these things, which I have no idea what 99% of them do, right? I am just looking for a free roll. I'm looking to get that initial profit target out, and then I'm looking to ride it as long as I can. I'm not trying to get rich on each one. Although if that LRC or LPT or any of these other ones that I'm in now continue to run higher, then by all means, I'm going to enjoy the ride. Like I said last week and preach often, 3 things: money management, and money management. Now, as I said also last week and weeks prior, since no one can predict the future, we're trend followers, right? The secret sauce is taking partial profits just in case you're only partially right, okay? So let's say some of the ones I just showed you stop out. Well, it's better than a poke in the eye, right? Because we already took partial profits out, and the worst thing can happen, barring the eventual blow up that might happen with these things, is you stop out at break even. Oh, by the way, I guess the other thing I need to be careful with is there has been some tomfoolery. There was one exchange that did blow up, so buyer beware, and I'm fully aware of that. I've got my portfolio, so to speak, spread between about 4 exchanges, okay? So if one blows up, hopefully the other ones will be okay. I think that you probably want to be with a well-known exchange. Coinbase, for instance, is well-known, okay? It's also publicly traded, so they're under some scrutiny. I do have some money with a foreign exchange, which kind of scares the hell out of me, but it's not going to ruin my life should it blow up tomorrow. In the meantime, I'm having a lot of fun, and hopefully, I know I'm using that word a lot today, so I got to be careful, but hopefully I'll be able to peel off a little bit of that money and put somewhere else. But again, money management means you're taking that partial profit, you're trailing that stop higher, and you're going to let it loosen up to hopefully ride the trend for a long time. And I'll follow up on the 2 that I just showed you and some other ones in upcoming weeks. Okay, now you're like, boy, this guy's crypto crazy. Yeah, I'm crypto crazy, but my bread and butter remains in IPOs and my core methodology. I had a good day yesterday. I made 10 times the amount in stocks that I did in crypto. But the crypto is growing, and it is a lot of fun. I'm not trading for excitement now. I'm trading it because that's where the money is too. And I did miss, and truth be told, here's one thing that I probably should come full disclosure with you. I did miss a stock that was on my radar because I was busy flipping in and out of some of these crypto things. And you've heard me say fun a few times during this presentation. I am having a blast with these things, and that's you want to trade for excitement, okay? But I'm having a blast because I simply just don't care. And you have to be flippant to, if you want to be a great trader, you have to learn how to be flippant. And believe me, it's kind of tough. I'm a pretty emotional guy. Right before I recorded this, I'm screaming some F-bombs, got the windows open. It's a pretty day. Neighbors must think I'm pretty crazy. I used to live in the country. I could scream all I want. That's a little bit different now. I got to throttle it back a little bit. And I do get very emotional. But right now, I don't care because it's sort of like a game. How much money can I make? How far can I parlay this small account? Now, I know once the money becomes real, that trading psychology is going to rear its ugly head. Like I said last week, if you're in a bubble, you can't wait to wake up to see how much money you made. Last couple days, I've been kind of breaking even on some of these things, and it's like, wait a minute, it's not as much fun as it was just a little while ago. And now that the accounts are starting to grow a little bit, the money is starting to become real, and all that trading psychology begins to rear its ugly head. I think it's a great place to learn to follow rules and get your reps in. If you're a newer to trading, I think you can go in and follow a simple little system like the 230 EMA and get used to that, used to the money management. These things are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I think it's a great place to learn. It's also a horrible place to learn sloppy behavior. I know some people just getting into crypto, a little older people, a little older in life, and they're just getting into trading and they're starting to trade crypto, and they just hang on these things hoping that they'll come back. Well, every week I said I'm going to spend more time going crypto hunting. There's just not enough time this week, but I promise you on Thursday night I will go crypto hunting. So if you have time, Thursday at 6, I do a weekly show, davelandry.com/webinar to register. So again, emotional and irrational markets are a trader's and investor's best friend. If you get in, get a little piece out, and hang on to them as long as possible. Again, if you need to reach me, davelandry.com/contact. You want a bunch of info, davelandry.com/StockCharts. Thanks everybody for watching, and may the trend be with you.
Hey, Grayson Rose here with StockCharts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, consider giving it a like down below, maybe leave us a comment, and if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe at the link up above. We're gonna bring you daily content from an incredible collection of technical analysts and financial experts.